It might subtract your knowledge. I would not recommend using your phone.
I would search in the city of Savior.
It's a long bell ring.
That's old. I wouldn't say
That's not a bell ringer. That's me making you do your notes.
no. It's all underneath bell ringer.
Oh, everything's all underneath bell ringer.
No, but like usually it says like
Bell ringer.
Oh my God.
Make sure you know they come with the bike short. Good.
I'm trying to get everything done.
Like 4. Because we're doing light after this.
It's only for that one day.
You know what? It's okay. I still got it.
Alright. So we're moving on to sound waves today. And I was talking to Stephen about this. Sound isn't really my expertise.
So let's get the chapter.
I mean,
We should watch that.
we should. So what I mean is I can kind of explain things from a physics standpoint, but I'm not very good at applying it to actual sound stuff. So you guys can enlighten me on some of that.
Sound.
What?
So we're teaching
Like,
Kramer?
you know, a beat and
Oh,
Quarter
quarter notes, eighth notes,
yeah, octaves, things like that.
32nd notes, 64th notes.
Okay. So whether you're listening to the cry of a baby or the sweet succulent voice of Avery Bush,
Wow. The sweet
it all starts with a vibrating object. Every sound wave begins with a vibrating object. Okay? Such as the vibrating metal bars of a tuning fork.
Whoa.
It's the thing that they like,
Can you see it moving?
Can you change the pitch by just moving that thing around?
they like catch there and then
Wow, we got 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's still ringing.
it's like making my eyes no, it's making your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, really?
So I want you guys to pull open your books.
I vowed to never.
Shut up.
We should take a nice review of the sensitivity.
Okay? Pull open your books. Very first page, I think, of chapter 12. I don't know what page that is. You can find it.
It would be.
Let's just mess around with the tuning forks if we can get through all of this.
410.
Jesse Hall!
What's
You're dead to me. Oh. I mean, very much alive to me.
Kramer the baby.
Okay?
One of these days we're gonna go through and watch all of the episodes of physics.
Maybe like a TV show instead of The Office.
Okay? Knowing if Santa Maria was still here, he would be the one that would go through all of my videos, take them out, find the highlights, and make some sort of video of here's why Mr. Kramer should be fired.
I like that.
Kramer's removal.
Kramer's resignation. Okay. Okay. So if you look at this page, you can see here a tuning fork. When you hit a tuning fork, what happens is the tuning fork vibrates back and forth. So sound is always produced by a vibrating object. Okay? And this little visual here, you can see in B that based on the visual, it looks like it is going back and forth. Kind of like simple harmonic motion would be, wouldn't it? Okay? And what ends up happening is when the tuning fork vibrates this way, what it's doing is it's compressing the air molecules. And then when it vibrates back, what it's doing is it's leaving a gap where there isn't any air molecules, or not very much air molecules. So what it does is it compresses the air molecules, leaves a spot where there's no air molecules, compresses, and it goes back and forth and creates a vibration or continues the vibration through the matter. So if you look at the next page, what's so funny? I was laughing. My elbow, didn't I?
No.
What?
I was laughing because it sounded so complex.
What sounded so complex?
What you were saying. It was like it leaves a gap and there's nowhere more. But then it comes back.
Is that blowing your mind?
When they're not, why does it look so nice?
I can't look awful 100% of the time. So 98% of the time.
So 98 is okay.
Close to the 2%.
Yep. Can't always get 100% of the test. Alright. So look at the next page. Figure 2, I believe it is, and you need to get there. 405, everybody get there. At the top, you can see, what is the purple regions representing?
The sky.
Pressure.
The sky.
Gravity in the sine wave.
I know.
No.
It shows the picture and then it shows the wave.
No tuning fork motion.
Vibration.
Oscillation. It shows the sky. Do they not relate? Look, it's straight lines. It is. It's not related to the stop speaking. Look, okay, those are the lines going up, like those. That's the sky.
So, Cheyenne, it kind of is the sky.
Okay. Like
The
gravity
molecules
is
that make up the sky. Yes. She's not completely wrong. It's just how you said it was funny. It's the sky, right? Okay. So,
Actually, that's what it represents.
what?
What's it?
Pressure.
Okay, what do you think it represents? What do you think the purple region represents?
Pressure.
Yeah, it's what it's showing when the air molecules are most close to each other or they're most compressed. Okay? So what happens is when the tuning fork goes towards the air molecules, it basically squishes the air molecules together. Okay? Well, anytime you take equally distributed air molecules and you take some and squish them, what are you going to be left behind with? A non-squished region, essentially. I know that kind of seems really basic, but it's really what's happening. And so what you get, and this is going to sound funny, but you get a squished region, unsquished region, squished region, unsquished region. Okay? Is that too simple that I break it down into too childish of terms that if you're not able to make sense of it, or does that help? Does it help?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you looked at me like, okay. So what you end up having is you can see it correlates to what the sound wave will look like. The dark region is where you're heavily compressed. That should make sense from last chapter. In fact, a lot of the vocab from this chapter are going to be very similar to that of last chapter. Or at least they're going to be referring to the same stuff. Didn't we talk about compression with the spring in last chapter? And we said the compression of the spring was when you were at your peak of your sine curve, correct? Now, I think we had a different term for the trough. What was it called?
Pretty sure you just stress.
Yeah. Okay? So rarefaction is what we're going to call it in a particular sound wave. Or it's a region where you have low density. We talked about high density, low density. Okay? When you compress, you're at high or low? High density. And when you're not compressed or you're left with the open space, essentially, you're going to be at your low density, and we call that a rarefaction. That's kind of a weird one to say.
Rarefaction.
A rarefaction. I don't think that's how you say it, but rarefaction.
Oh,
Rarefaction.
rarefaction.
All right, so you should also then be connecting last chapter with this, and that this is a longitudinal wave. what you have is a back and forth compression, non-compression, compression, not compressed, and you are going in the same direction or parallel to the object's motion. It's vibrating parallel to the wave that is being protruded out from it. Okay? Then we are going to have our simple harmonic motion, and we're going to get a wave that has a nice sine curve. Compressed region, not compressed. Squished, not squished.
What is being compressed?
The air molecule. Yep.
Whatever you want, Cole.
So I think we're good that the crests represent the compressions and the troughs represent the rarefactions. Yes?
What does it say about the sine
Rarefactions.
Yeah, like you can get more complicated longitudinal waves that aren't a basic sine curve. In fact, we're going to talk about sine waves that have multiple harmonics, which it's not. It has the representation of a sine curve, the general look of it, but it has jagged points on it.
So this red thing is a sine curve,
Yes,
and that's representing a longitudinal wave?
a basic one. Yes. Yep.
That's why,
I like how to say rarefactions.
because within the note of the
Sure.
stringed instrument, there's several elements. So when I do the thing, I
Yep.
said it goes,
Yeah. So you're just doing different harmonics, and what it is a more complicated sine wave.
That's wrong.
so it's actually, it's just factor.
Okay. What is frequency? Quickly, again. I'm going to assume you have these vocabulary words kind of down. Okay, so frequency is how many cycles you can have in a specific time period. What is it?
Rarefactions.
So I was right.
Kinda.
You said a rarefaction.
Well,
I like rare.
I said rarefaction, and then I said rarefaction just to kind of joke around.
I like it.
Yeah.
Just like I put
It's just a joke around. See, it doesn't affect me though.
Yeah, I put
So, really important here that we're going to continue talking and using the vocabulary from last chapter. So frequency is how many cycles per unit time, okay? And believe it or not all sound waves can we hear. I mean, that, you might can't believe
Like
it.
that when
Dog
Merrifield
whistle?
has that app where he like plays the whistle and like he can't hear it, but
Yeah,
we can hear it. So it's, like, the
absolutely.
noise
It like hurts you guys real bad. Yeah, I can't hear it. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's like when you pass it.
There's, you'll find, we can maybe mess around with it if we have time in a later lesson, but there is these apps that plays sounds at certain frequencies, and older people can't hear certain frequencies that younger people can, usually, mostly because over time your ears become less, I don't know what the right word is. Less good. Acute. I'm just, yeah, due to entropy, your ears start to disintegrate, essentially. Not really, but you can't hear quite the same things. Okay? What?
It's like it's the bell ring. Polar Express. When you lose your belief in Santa, you can't hear the ring anymore.
I hate that.
Have you ever seen? That's the best
Don't
movie
watch
ever.
that. Satan is Santa. Okay.
Graves, I agree with you. Finally.
I agree.
I said that you were going to.
Yeah, well then my mother-in-law and father-in-law say you're getting gifts from Jesus, and I'm like, that's not really a great idea either. Jesus just doesn't shower you with physical
It's
gifts.
my birthday, here you go.
Yeah, okay.
My parents were just like, take this.
Take this.
The Vikings hat.
Okay,
And they'd always call Santa.
so there is, now this is general, guys. The audible sound waves that the human ear normally can hear. Now I'm guaranteeing I can't hear that full spectrum. And Grandpa Jim can hear far less than that. Okay? But the whole idea here is the average human, I don't know if this is like a kid that usually hears this, or if this is an average of what you would expect over a life. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, and maybe this is the lowest any human has ever been able, and this is the highest. I'm not 100% sure how they came up with that number. Okay, but here's a couple of vocab words. You've probably heard infrasonic and ultrasonic. Ultrasonic waves are sound waves. Okay? So when babs use ultrasonic waves, they're making noise.
So that's why they keep.
Probably.
Sonic? The restaurant?
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Hedgehog.
Really fast.
Oh, they're really fast.
Yeah, not sure.
Kramer,
Yep.
what are the waves?
Deliver out.
I don't know if
What do you mean in between? Audible. So audible is this region, less than 20 is your infrasonic, and higher than 20,000 is your ultrasonic.
What are we, like, talking right now? What is, how
We're
many
in the 20 to 20,000.
So this is,
It depends
like,
on the pitch.
Depends on the pitch, and I'll explain that, and that's actually coming up. Frequency determines pitch.
are
What if
pitch
you break
and
this number?
loudness different?
Yes, but I will say pitch also is affected by loudness.
So like if you're speaking in a high voice but quietly, it's gonna be less frequency, even though it's like a higher voice.
It's gonna be more. Hey, high pitch means high frequency.
Oh, high pitch, okay. So even if I'm speaking but with a low voice, it's
Ever.
lower. Okay.
Remember,
I enjoy watching soccer.
Hey, we haven't done one of these in a while, so why?
I'm going to get, I think my mom is actually
Lauren.
trying to get a mousetrap right now.
No, what?
More hearts than
And maybe
ours.
one more.
Okay. We should all talk into our hearts.
No, yeah, that's worse.
You can get an app that tell, like if you speak into it, it'll tell you what's the frequency.
We should do a roof goal.
Lauren, did you get that one?
Yeah, you can figure out exactly if you're on the right pitch. I don't know why this is taking so long. Alright, well, it's not working. So, okay, so did you know this because of your background in music or because of engineering?
No, it's because I researched this thing called harmonic overtones. So, because there's certain songs I like, and then I watched a video of this guy like dissecting analysis.
Yes. Yes. We'll talk about the different harmonics and things like that, but we won't get too crazy into that because this is okay. So here we go. Cheyenne. The frequency of your audible sound determines how high or low your pitch is. So, as your pitch goes up, the frequency or the amount of cycles per unit time your particular sound is vibrating is going to increase. Okay? So, what Cheyenne was saying was, if you have a low pitch, it's going to be less frequency. It's going to have less cycles per unit time. Now there is an impact that loudness has on frequency, on pitch, but it's not as important as what frequency is going to have an impact on pitch. Okay, so as the frequency of sound waves increase, so does the pitch. Okay, the frequency of a wave is an objective quantity that can be measured, while pitch refers to how different frequencies are perceived by the human ear. So the whole idea of pitch is dependent upon the human ear's ability to perceive it. You can't measure, like pitch for you is going to be different for me because we have different ears essentially. So yeah, I mean, you talk about tone deaf.
So when you say you're off pitch, you're not actually off pitch, you're just on someone else's pitch.
Yeah, maybe.
You're off the desired pitch.
Now, I will say this. The difference between like mine and your ears isn't probably enough to really say, oh, my pitch is different than your pitch, if that makes sense. Okay, now maybe that from an old person, how would we know? How would we know? Absolutely. That's you should tell dialects. Be like, well, my pitch is not the same as your pitch, so I'm not wrong.
That's like saying I'm not out of shape, it's in a different shape. You're out of the desired shape. You're out
As they say, you're in a fat shape.
You're out of the desired.
I think this might be further than I want to go today.
Stupid.
Yeah, that we're done.
You're stupid.
So, we'll pick this up on Monday, but here's what I want to quickly review. Oh, you want to mess around with some tuning forks? By all means.
You move this part to like camera pitch.
No, the pitch depends upon the length of the.
How do you do it?
Pull.
Yeah.
Pull.
You ripped his
Pull. Hit the middle part of the palm.
What?
Yeah.
Hit it
So
on the palm.
you hit them, put them up to your ear.
On this? Hey, it's like the thing where you feel this nerve.
If you do that, it's gonna.
Oh my god. Ah, it's my hair.
Then like it would, if you touch your hair, it's gonna slow the vibration.
Stop!
So
I can't do anything.
yeah, you can turn it, and depending upon how you don't have to.
It's like,
Is that the place that
it's going
changes that little thing?
The first no, it would be. It's because this.
Oh, touch your ear, touch your ear. It's like, it's more fun to look at.
But if you put it up to your ear, usually if you
Touch your face. Never mind, I just want to hear it. Touch your face with this. And we're just like,
It's the faces on this.
Okay. Now,
It's like a bug flies by your day.
kind of. You need to take two different ones and put them in separate ears if you can see the pitch difference.
Yeah, that's gonna give you a.
Yeah, no, this is not vibrating your ear.
It's like when you watch The Flash and he's like going real fast and he's like,
So, quick little quiz here. What's a rarefaction?
It's the trough.
Okay, what is that going to look like from an air molecule standpoint?
look at it.
The bottom. It's where you're not compressed.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But don't think of it like a spring, because it's not like
Like this, but
it's the same. It represents the same part of a sine curve as a stretched spring. But what's happening is we're
Is it high,
talking.
low density?
Yes.
The
So-
low density part of it?
Yep. It's a low density in the context of a tuning fork would be less air molecules. Okay. How does frequency depend on pitch, or what happens to the pitch if you change the frequency?
The higher the frequency, the higher the pitch. It's,
Okay. And we will actually talk a little bit about the Doppler effect in this chapter.
you have to watch the clip. Oh wait,
You know what I really want to talk about? I want to talk about how like YouTube breaking glass, getting the frequency.
I hate when
It's like it's not just about getting a high
like in the middle of tests, I'm like, I'm gonna go right now.
I'm like,
Every time we start a test, you like swallow how it's hard. Like, oh, it makes me want to throw up. Oh, I can see
I always
that.
be a joke that there's real.
Oh, whoa, that is so true. That hurts. Can I speak to that? Oh my word, that is sad. That makes me think I'm just looking at it blurry, but I don't realize it's actually. Wait.
I've always wanted to.
Kramer, do you know any physics party tricks?
Party tricks.
Yeah, like you can make bets.
Oh, like dropping it.
Yeah, there's like 10 bets you'll always win or something.
Yeah.
And like they show how you can do these weird science things with bets. But it doesn't seem like it would work, but
You're not.
Wait, I haven't looked over the.
Wait, is this the Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
Have
you seen this clip? Okay.
My grandma is a
I don't watch it.
I don't know. I don't know. I might pause it like
Whoa.
That does not work.
It's real high pitch.
What?
It's real high pitch. Yeah, let's do it really close.
Oh, did you see Snowflake? Yes, dude, you stole my Snowflake. It just looks blurry.
Yeah.
So weird. It doesn't look like a reaction. Okay, L'Oreal. I wanted to have a scheme like of these.
Well, I mean,
But
I have that joke. Yeah, I don't. Well, he goes on a little bit more, but I don't know if it's
like,
Because the other people talking between them, I don't know if there's any value. Like,
yeah,
it's
it
very
doesn't look
gesture,
like
thing like
I wish that they could do that in a clean version, because I would definitely watch that.
How's like her?
It's like 90%.
I'd say probably it's like,
Wait, tonight?
I'd say it's closer.
Yeah, what? Oh, no, your friends
So, Bugs.
I watched MacGyver. Oh, that's Family Matters.
Okay.
Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World, right? Like, MacGyver and Family Matters.
Oh my word.
When I was homeschooled,
Feel this.
they'd always have MacGyver and 11 Family Matters, like Full House, and like Boy Meets World, it became like 11 and 1. Yeah, I
I was gonna say, I
don't know how I can do it, but
it was
it's
on
not
TV.
as
Right? I saw it
It's like really high. It's like you barely hear it.
That's the actual
You can't even see it vibrating.
Oh, I was just scared
What?
of vibration.
Do they put hot rod there?
Do Hot Rod? Do Hot Rod's the best movie.
An angel of the Lord said to them,
You and your movie.
Hot Rod's so easy to
I bring you good news.
They're all like the stupid, like, just say stupid things, make fun of stupid people.
Unto you Christ is born.
I don't like Ace Ventura.
The Hill Valley.
No, she was born this day in the city of David, the Savior in Christ.
Now celebrate
That's weird. It's like unto you Christ is born. Unto you a Savior is Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like not
You're not
Your girl,
Sometimes.